Hello, this is me, Morel Benard, the educator, the storyteller. Hello, and welcome to Storytelling with Study Coach UK. This is education through storytelling. I'm going to tell you the story of a young man named Huda who became stressed. So this is teaching and learning. It is education through storytelling. The broad subject is psychology, and the specific topic is stress. The question is, what is stress? I've got a little toy with me. I call him my little red man. Say hello, red man. What is stress? We're going to find out, aren't we? People also refer to stress as pressure. But whether you use the term pressure or stress, the question remains of what exactly is it? So, in this video, what I aim to do is to tell you a little story about Huda, to explain the meaning of stress, the meaning of pressure. Huda is a young man. He's a migrant, an economic migrant, who decides that a better standard of life is to be had elsewhere outside of his home country. So he decides to leave his homeland and to head for a new life. Oh, where is he going? He's coming to where I'm living. He's coming to the UK. All right, let me proceed with the story. It was over 5 months ago since Huda came across the English Channel, wet and looking like a drowned rat, as we say. On arrival at Dover, this is England, he was then told to clamber his way into the back of a lorry, along with 7 other young men and a man and his wife and their young child. The sea journey across the English Channel was treacherous. And there were many times when Huda regretted getting into the boat and paying smugglers to take him to England. But each regret was followed with a reminder that life in his home country had gone from bad to worst. And so risking his life to reach England was his only option, or so he thought anyway. He did meet another boy in France from his hometown, but that boy decided that crossing the English Channel on the chosen day was far too risky, and he preferred to stay in France. It was raining very heavily in France on the day of the crossing, and it was windy, or you could say very stormy weather. But the men in charge of the boat thought that there would be fewer coast guards about, so it would be the ideal time to do a crossing. Huda knew that he was risking his life crossing the channel, but he knew that many had done the journey and had succeeded, and he was also told by the smugglers that he had to accept to cross on the day, or if not, he would lose his money. All migrants were given the same ultimatum. Stay in France if you want to, but you would need to pay again if you want to cross on another day. Huda didn't have money for a new fee, And furthermore, he felt that he couldn't live in France. He never learned the language. He did try at one stage in his life, but found French far too difficult. Huda's heart was set on reaching England. He was heading for his cousin's home in London. His cousin had made the said crossing over about 2 years ago. Now, you might be wondering about Huda's English language skills. Well, I can tell you that the short answer is not good. He came to learn from another migrant that British people would refer to his language skills as pidgin English. Oh, it was rather upsetting for Huda, because in his home country, people always praised him for his command of the English language. Now, being told that British people would find it difficult to understand him, and he would find it difficult to understand British accents, made him concerned about his future. Anyway, I'm jumping the gun, as they say, in narrating the story, since I need to explain what stress is, and the stress Huda experienced in trying to get to London, and whether he actually made it to London. So, okay, back to the day of crossing the English Channel. It was late evening when the 7 men, the couple, that's the husband and wife and their child, landed in Dover. They were bundled in a hiding place, what they considered to be a hut, and they were told to wait. As Huda recalled, it took a couple of hours before the smugglers returned and directed them to start walking in the pouring rain, and led them to a lorry. The migrants were then instructed to climb into the back of the lorry. At this point, the evening had now turned into night, and the rain still continued. On entering the lorry, soaked to the skin, they were all given brown sacks to wear. They did as they were told and stepped into the sacks. Each person had a sack, except the child, who clung to his father. They all laid in their respective sack in various areas of the lorry. Some to the left, some to the right, and so forth. And towering above them were barrels of different sizes, and there were numerous large boxes, supposedly carrying heavy electrical goods. It's fair to say that, if a barrel or box was to fall, it would kill or cause serious damage to the migrant lying on the floor. The final order that they received from their smugglers was that from this point onwards, they shouldn't utter a word, not even if someone were to shout police or immigration officer. On no account should they stir or answer. They were told that the lorry would take them into London. Huda recalled hearing the back of the lorry door locked. He said there was a distinct click. And after about 30 minutes or so, the lorry started on its journey. But approximately 5 minutes later, the vehicle came to a halt. It stopped. For 10 minutes or so, there was no movement, but the engine was still running. The lorry then continued in this fashion of stopping and starting for about another 30 minutes. And then the lorry seemed to move off the road and swung to the left. And then the engine was turned off. The movement to the left seemed rather abrupt, as if the driver was very heavy-footed with the brakes. The migrants could hear some goods in the boxes or the barrels rattling. And the fact that the engine was no longer running sent alarm bells running through Huda's mind. Huda started to perceive the abrupt stop as a signal that something was wrong. He started to feel threatened, concerned. I mean, we can certainly say that this situation can be perceived as a stressor. Whether all of the migrants were feeling the same as Huda is difficult to say. But we can imagine that the uncertainty of what was taking place outside of the lorry and with the driver would be worrying for all involved. Well, except perhaps for the young child. In the world of stress, this situation, this event, is therefore known as a stressor. In listening to the story, listening to me with the story, do note that stress will always start with an alarm stage. It is as if an alarm bell started to ring when the lorry abruptly swung to the left and stopped and the engine turned off. Huda then started to experience a condition of stress, meaning that he started to experience his body going through some internal and external changes. His normal balanced state became disrupted. He started to have a stress response because he became alarmed. It is interesting to note that no one spoke. They were following the smuggler's orders. From inside the lorry, there was silence, and only faint noises could be heard from outside, and of course the sound of rain that was tumbling down on the roof of the vehicle. The silence continued for a while, until it was clear to hear muffled voices at the back of the lorry, and then sounds indicating that the door was being opened. There were a few short, sharp intakes of breath that was audible in the lorry. Huda started to feel sweaty. He could feel his heart skipping or missing a few beats. And he heard his heart or felt his heart thumping against his chest and wondered if others would hear it. He then felt his right leg shaking as he laid on the floor. And he tried mind over matter to stop his leg from shaking. His mouth felt dry, as if all the saliva had dried up. Dear Huda was experiencing what is known as stress responses. He began to wonder whether he would try to fight if they tried to arrest him, or whether he would run for his life, what is known as fight or flight syndrome. In thinking about fighting or whether to take flight and run away, Huda's body started to release stress hormones, such as what is known as adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. These hormones could enable Huda to find the strength to outrun immigration and custom officers. But at the same time, these hormones could cause Huda's blood pressure to rise and could put him in danger of having a stroke or a heart attack, though he is a young man. Huda tried to control his breathing, and the others were also doing the same. And then they heard people entering the lorry. Join me. Join me for the next video, part 2 of Huda's story. Join me, Morel Benard, educating through storytelling, and we will continue the story of how to understand stress. So join me for more education through storytelling. Join me in the next video. I look forward to seeing you then. Oh, my little red man, so bye-bye for now. Okay. All right. Join me in the next video. Storytelling, education. Bye.